Hello and welcome to the show, From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole, where we talk about all things mental health awareness and wellness and interview amazing guests from all over the world, sharing their Weeping to Warrior story of how they overcame obstacles and trials and what they are currently doing to maintain not only their physical health, but their mental health. My name is Roshawn Nicole, and if you know my story, back in 2021 is when I was in treatment for 2 months. Friends, I was struggling in silence for 9 years. I was struggling with PTSD, depression, addiction, and anxiety. And finally, in 2021 is when I said enough is enough, and I went to treatment and for 2 months. And during that time, I was writing my music. Well, I didn't know it was my music. But when I left out of treatment, I shared my story through song, sharing to churches and organizations and to groups and letting them know that there is healing on the other side. So I want to encourage you on today. If you are suffering in silence, there is hope for you. And if you need some resources, you can call or text this number. It is 988. You can call or text 988, and it is a 24/7 hotline that you can call for support. All right, friends, I am super excited for this episode. Welcome to episode number 9. I'm so glad that you have joined us. If you are new, welcome. If you have been watching the other episodes, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here, where we're going to talk about mental health. If you would like to be a guest on my show, I would love to have you on. Please contact us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. I would love for you to share your Weeping to Warrior story. So before I introduce our special guest today, a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional or a therapist, so anything that I discuss on this episode or future episodes, it's simply what I've done to heal from depression and anxiety, as well as my guests. They're sharing their experience as well. And trigger warning, we talk about mental health. So if it's something that you are struggling with or dealing with, we are talking about mental health challenges. And so I just want to put that out there as well. All right, friends. So the health tip or the health information of this week, we're actually going to talk about my guest a little bit today. And before I read her bio, she is a certified FDN-P, and that is a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And that's the same program that I'm currently in and almost certified. I'm almost there, y'all. I passed my practicals. I'm in the written stage and have to do a verbal presentation. So I'm hoping for maybe about 2 more months, I'll be completed and certified, just like my guest today. And I just want to tell you a little bit about that. So then as she talks about her story, you kind of have some background. And so a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, we are not doctors, we do not diagnose, but we are certified to read functional labs. And so what we do is we send functional labs to our clients. They do the labs in the comfort of their own home. They send it off. We get the results. We read it and we interpret the labs, and we give our clients specific protocols tailored just for them. So the protocol is not cookie cutter, so it's not a one size fits all, right? We tailor it for our clients, and it's not a Band-Aid approach. So we are not just saying, what symptoms are you having? Okay, let me help you with that specific symptom. We look for healing opportunities, and we look in the systems of the body, such as the hormones, the immune system, the digestive system, detoxification, energy production. We look at your nervous system and also oxidative stress. And we look for healing opportunities and give you a specific protocol. And also, the protocol will help to support your diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. So I was intrigued when I found out about this, because I'm kind of like a little health nut and going through my journey of healing through of addiction and depression and anxiety. When I was taking myself through that, I was going through deep therapy or trauma therapy. And so after I went through all of that, I knew that my body needed to go through some type of cleaning and healing through from the alcohol and just not really taking care of my physical health. And so my friend today, who's going to talk about her journey, was posting on social media. I was already feeling like I was a little health detective trying to figure out what was going on with me. And so, I reached out to her. I said, hey, I'm interested. I want to know more. I want to be maybe possibly your client. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that when she comes on. And so I want to introduce my friend today, and her name is Mel Wardhaugh. And let's read her bio. So Mel is the founder of Heal Like a Mother and helps mothers struggling from fatigue go from depleted to renewed through integrative coaching with a focus on gut healing, nervous system regulation, emotional intelligence, and identity work. Through courses, master classes, group and one-on-one coaching, she guides clients in understanding what is at the root of their chronic fatigue, mood swings, so that they can gain a real understanding of their body, heal from past conditioning, and get back into playtime. Let's welcome this warrior queen to the show, Mel Wardhaugh. Welcome, Mel.
Hello, that was beautiful. The way that you described your work in FDN was so good. Professional already.
Thank you. Hello, Mel. Welcome. Hello. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show. Yes. Well, Mel, I'm so glad you're here and you said yes today. And I'm so excited for this interview because I'm trying to get where you're at. I'm trying to be certified. I'm trying to help clients. And so before you share your story, tell the guest, tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you reside, and a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So I live in Washington as well. I live in this tiny little town, Buckley, where, we have one tiny, it's not even a grocery store. So it's very kind of out there. I love it so much. So I am sorry if my Wi-Fi is awful, but I do love it. So my husband grew up in a small town, so Enumclaw, which is really close. But I grew up in Federal Way, and actually Roshawn and I we met each other in high school. So it's been a long time, and we have a mutual friend. I won't go there. I won't say ages.
I will say, Mel, don't tell the year. But yes, we did grow up in high school. Yes. Yeah. We went to 10th grade together, I believe. So so we kind of do have a little bit of a history, which is so fun that we get to do this right now. Yes. So I have 4 children. My oldest this is his senior year, and then I've got one very, young. Like I've got a soul that's my youngest. So kind of all ages and in between. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that you live in Buckley. I knew, of course, I knew here in Washington State, but I didn't know in that small little town area. So yes.
Yes.
Oh. Well, Mel, I'm so glad you're here. So I would love for you to share with the audience today, a little bit about, a time that you went through a major obstacle. And I know you found functional medicine and FDN, but let's talk about before you finding, functional medicine with healing and going through that journey. So, yeah.
Yeah. So with me, my journey sounds like it was quite similar to yours, Roshawn. I, after my second child, found myself in this very unfamiliar, deep depression that I didn't have words for. And I remember the first time I picked up a drink for the purpose of soothing this high emotion that I had, and it was overwhelm because at the time we were living in Hawaii. I was completely away from my family. Having a toddler and a newborn was so new, and I didn't even know what maybe postpartum depression was. I didn't have words for it. But what I do remember is the first time I walked to the store, got a bottle of vodka, and felt such relief that it took me years to be able to quit drinking. And it was due to having such big emotions. But before that, honestly, I spent my entire life dealing with digestive issues that no doctor could ever figure out. And we know now that there is a very strong gut-brain connection. So it was a very frustrating time for me because at the time I was eating vegan. I was fully vegan at the time, which was easy in Hawaii. It's nice and warm. You don't want to turn on the stove. So it was easy. But I didn't realize how much that what I thought was healthy at the time was not healthy for my body. So I found myself spiraling, not just from depression, but then having these really strong suicidal urges. And it felt very, very scary at the time. And I honestly had nobody to talk to. I kept it within myself. I didn't even talk to my husband. Well, this went on for years. And when we moved back to Washington, we've been here, I think 12 or 13 years now. But after my fourth child, I found that like my emotions were so out of control and it didn't feel like me. And I had been a year sober at the time. So I thought that would help, which was a struggle within itself. We all know that first year is really hard. Yeah, and I did that pretty much on my own, which was very hard to do. I do recommend reaching out and getting help if you can, because struggling on your own is hard. You feel very isolated and alone, and there's a lot that goes into recovery.
For sure.
And I found myself just walking on eggshells, or my children and my husband walking on eggshells around me. And my mood was so up and down. And I was using alcohol to control that in the past because it made me feel good. It made me feel happy. It made me feel like myself. Well, that was no longer an option because I was way overutilizing it. It was just beyond what anybody would call a healthy amount. So getting off of that, I had to learn how to deal with my emotions, which was very new at the time, very new. And I had a lot going on internally within my gut. Like I said, my doctors never knew what was going on. I was bloated all the time. I was in extreme amounts of pain, my stomach, my joints, my back, and there was never any explanation as to why. So here I am, doing what I think is healthy, eating this plant-based diet, exercising, to the point of such fatigue that I couldn't get off the couch for 3 days at a time afterwards. It would take me a really long time to recover from an exercise. So just body was breaking down. So by the time like my fourth kid came along, it was too much for me to bear. And I remember distinctly having this crying episode in my car because I heard my husband say, oh, here goes another weekend again, because it was his day off. And here I was in a bad mood as usual for no reason. And that just drove me into like going from feeling like these suicidal ideations that I was able to control to uncontrollable with it. And I found myself going down one of my back roads, I'd never been on before. And in my mind, I just thought, this is like my way out. This is how I can save my family from myself, which is an awful thing to say. Yeah. But it was like, here I found myself going like 80 miles an hour, and I see myself just zoned in on this, sorry if this is a little bit triggering. I just found myself zoned in on this forest full of trees, and going through my mind is, I just need to hit one fast enough and they're free of me. So I don't know what it was, but in the moment, it was like this flash of like, okay, let's be realistic. The possibility of you being more of like a burden, if that's the right word, because you're stuck in a hospital as a vegetable or something, that's going to be really hard on the family. So I had a breakdown moment that was probably very much needed, where I was I pulled over to the side and I'm screaming and I'm crying, why am I broken? And a couple days after that, I came home and I told my husband for the first time how I've been feeling, and all of these feelings I've been keeping inside for years. And he told me that I needed to go talk to somebody, which was hard.
Right. Yeah, that's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah. And there is just a lot of stigma around it. I feel like it's starting to ease up, thank goodness. Mhm.
But seeing my doctor for the first time, looking her in the eye and telling her that I need help was hard.
Right. Yeah. It is not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
through his blessing, he was like,
Yes.
I don't care what you do, what you need to do. You need to figure this out, and I'm here to help
Mhm.
you. And I just happened to stumble upon, I'd never heard of FDN in my life before. I just
Yes.
happened to
Yeah.
stumble upon it. And I was
Mhm.
like, this is what I've been asking for. Like with my doctors, I'm like,
Okay.
I would tell them,
Yes.
I would be like, I think I need my adrenals checked. Like I can't get off the couch if I work out for 3
Yep.
days, right? And they'd be like,
Yes.
oh, insurance won't cover that, so we can't do it. Like there was all these things that were so frustrating for me.
Right.
Felt like I couldn't get anywhere.
Mm-mm-mm. So
Yeah.
Mel,
So
wow, Mel. Oh my goodness, wow. And it's crazy because just looking at you, you would never think that you were going through that, right? Have you heard that from people where they're just like, wow, you were going through all of that, Because I remember when I was going through, and then after you share it, it's like, wow. But I just knew that I had to go ahead and put on a smile on my face, right, and just keep doing my daily things. And so was that similar to you as well, where you're just like, I have to keep pushing, I have to keep, I have to be a mom, I got to be a wife, I got to do all these things, for my household.
absolutely. And that's what
Yes.
I was using alcohol for,
Yep.
is to
Mhm.
help me put on that mask. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So our
Yeah.
story sounds sounds similar. I remember when I reached out to you a few years ago, and you were writing on social media, you were talking about your story, and I would just read from time to time, just kind of read your story. And then you were talking about how you were helping clients, and you were helping with, different types of functional labs and helping them get to the root cause and all these things. So I would just read and read and read. And finally, I was like, I'm so tired of going through all of these, digestive issues that I was going through, similar to you, where for 9 years, doctors, were saying it's this, it's this, don't eat that, eat this. And I was just like, this is driving me crazy. I was like, this is driving me nuts.
Mhm.
What is going on with me? And then every time I give them blood, they're finding something else. And I'm like, I am so tired of this. So I became my own little health detective and trying to figure out what was going on. And it sounds like the same with you, where you were just like, okay, they're saying is this, is that, right? You can't eat this, and taking this test, but not running this one. And you were kind of being your own practitioner, right? Your own detective,
Mhm.
and saying, hey, what about this? What about this? And they're like, oh no, insurance doesn't cover it. And it just comes to the point where you become just very frustrated, where we kind of just fire them in a way, and just, and like really just kind of take it into our hands and say, hey, let's go and figure out what's going on in our bodies. And so that's what I did back in 2022. I reached out to you and I said, Mel, your story resonates with me. And you were like, let's get on the phone call and let's figure out what's going on. And so we had the one-on-one consultation. And so you were telling me about your program, which sounded amazing. I was like all in. And so I was like, well, let me think about it. And then the next day, and so this story is funny now, but probably not at the time. The next day I called Mel. I said, Mel, this sounds great, but you know what? I'm going to join you. I was like, I need to do this. I need to learn about this. I've been kind of learning about it. I need to take myself through this journey, because in the program, we become our first clients. And so, we run our own labs and we're interpreting them or reading them so then we can help other people. And so with that being said, Mel, just what you're doing to help people, to help women, is just inspiring, what you're putting on your social media. And so I just wanted to tell you that you inspired me. And so keep doing your work. And so with that being said, you talked a little bit about how you found FDN. Tell us a little bit about the journey of going from, your weeping moment of, alcohol and just trying to just, regulate your emotions and just life, right? And then finding your husband saying, hey, go, you need to talk to someone. And then you finding FDN. Tell us a little bit about that journey of your warrior side, your warrior moment.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I thought that because I was already so health-minded that I would zip through the course like nobody's business. I was like, give me 3 months. I'll be good to go. No. There was a lot more work into it for sure. Of course, being a mom of 4 kids. And then I was dealing with chronic illness, what people would call like this invisible silent illness. Nobody has a name to it kind of thing. But so I took my time. I had to take a lot of rest for myself because I was dealing with things like chronic fatigue. So I went through it. I had to do a complete mindset shift for myself. And I had to learn how to rest and to be okay with things being a little bit slower and the pace. So for me, I have really noticed that the shift in my own household, learning how to regulate my emotions, has shifted the way that I interact with my children and, of course, with myself. Like, the way that I parent, the way that I come across with my clients, I can hold space for people. It feels so good to know how to tune into your body and give it exactly what it needs, whether that is more rest, whether it's a diet shift change, whether that is as crazy as a coffee enema, if you guys haven't gotten into that. A little liver support.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like, sometimes you just need community too, right? So it's really about crafting, in my opinion, the warrior part is about crafting your life, where you are making your life the way that you want it to be. Whereas before, you were maybe just kind of going along with, the waves, so to speak. You were like always trying to fight something in life, or like there's always something to go up against. Whereas now I feel like no matter what you throw at me, like, give it to me. I'm ready. I can handle it.
Join us for From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole, a podcast where we're discussing all things mental health and wellness. Airing Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Oklahoma Victorious Worship Radio, and on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on PGN-TV. For full details on air dates, networks, and how to be a guest on the show, email us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com or visit RoshawnNicole.com.
Well, tell us a little bit about your program, because I read, in your bio, you're the founder of Heal Like a Mother, and you're helping, struggling or mothers who are struggling with fatigue, go from depleted to renewed through your coaching and your program. And so, first, how did you come up with your niche? And then tell us about your program.
Yeah. So I was very hesitant to what we would call niche down. And I think because when you go through a program like this and you're just really thinking like, I could help everybody, so why would I want to help one person? But the truth is, I found that I love working with moms because their story is very similar. If in the household, moms run so much. So if you're not regulated, if you're not feeling good, if you're not in pain, if you are in pain, if you're not sleeping, then the whole household's going to be off. So that was just kind of how I fell into that. And I do feel like community is such a big deal that I turned my one-on-one program that I was doing with moms, and now I'm making it into a group program. And that's new this year, is to turn that one-on-one work and turn it into that group, because I feel like we need community. For mental health, for physical health, I feel like healing happens in community.
Right.
So that is my big goal.
Absolutely. So Mel, what do you want to say to, those mothers or those who might be struggling with alcohol or eating disorder or any type of mental health challenges or illnesses? What do you want to say to them today?
I want to get across that you are not broken. You heard me say, like, I had a big breakdown. I was like, asking God, like, what's wrong with me? And that's the other thing, is that was not a problem. My spirituality is not a problem. I feel like, if anything, going through these hard times brought me closer to God, because it forces a deeper relationship when you rely on something in yourself. So I want to get across that you are not broken. There might be something wrong. Your doctor might not know what it is. There might be other things that you have to excavate by using functional medicine, maybe, or a therapist, but you're not broken. And that brings me to a scripture that I always come back to, which I believe is in Psalms. I'm not going to remember the book, but it's the scripture where each one of us are wonderfully made. And so it really just is about finding what is it that's either triggering you. Do you have a nutritional deficiency? Is there something going on in the gut that's inflaming the brain or causing these emotions? All of these things can play a role, and advocating for yourself and finding that community is so transformative.
Absolutely. So how would you say that functional medicine or holistic health has changed your life? What would you say about that?
I literally don't think that I would be here today otherwise. I truly don't. In one way or another. My mental health, my physical health, everything has changed completely. The way that I look at health in general has changed. Whereas before, say in high school, my idea of health was starving myself all day until I got home from school and working out. And I thought that was healthy.
Right, exactly.
So, women can tend to run themselves to the ground, and that is just, not how we want to do things anymore.
Right. Absolutely. It's, functional medicine has been truly a blessing. And I tell this to people all the time, I'm like, why don't you give it a try? Or, of course I'm not certified yet, but I'm always talking about it because I'm hearing a lot of the same stories where it's like this Band-Aid approach, right? What we've been hearing about, or a cookie cutter approach, or giving something for symptoms and not really getting to like what's really going on in the body. So I just want you to share like maybe what a testimonial, if you can. I know you can't say names, but maybe a testimonial with one of your clients and the impact it's made in their lives.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I have a few in mind, but I will bring up this one. Okay, I'll bring up a little girl actually, because hers kind of blew me away. So I was working with this 4-year-old girl whose mom had taken her to the doctor for stomach issues at 4 years old. They did all these kinds of scans and never found what was going on. She wasn't having bowel movements for like maybe one every couple weeks. And even then it was very small. So when I met her, this was an in-person, I work virtually mostly, but this was an in-person one. And so I met with them and she was just like lying on the couch. She didn't want to move. She wasn't making eye contact. It literally was under 6 months of working together, and she was underweight. She had grown 2 sizes in less than 6 months. She had put on like 10 pounds of much needed weight. She had joined soccer, but she didn't have the energy to do anything before besides drawing, I guess. She was having full conversations with me, so much so that it was hard to get through our sessions because obviously I'm talking with the mother throughout them because she had so much energy that she was like bouncing off the walls almost. And it was just like a total shift in just a few short months. And like just seeing her grow, like emotionally, physically, literally physically. And her mom was like just in shock that she went from like a size 2T at 4 years old to the size of a 2-year-old. And she got into her size where she should be, like a size 4 or 5. And it was just like mind blowing.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah. So that's one that always sticks with me because I was just like the transformation happens so fast.
Right.
That's a good thing about working with kids.
Yes. Yes. They're so resilient. They bounce back pretty quick. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
That is amazing. What an incredible story, friends. You heard Mel share her testimony. And if you are interested, Mel, I would love for you to share with the audience today, how can the audience know more about you, how to contact you, maybe talk a little bit about your program, and yeah, let's hear about that.
Perfect. Yeah, on Facebook, I'm just Mel Wardhaugh, and the last name
Okay.
I know it's spelled wrong. I've been told it's spelled wrong. It's WARDHAUGH. And then on Instagram, you can find me at _gut_detective for the primal gut detective. And that's what I do. I like Roshawn is doing. I take a really truly holistic approach where we look at functional medicine labs, we look at the lifestyle. I personally love to dive into some of the belief system, emotions and whatnot, because I feel like that was an important part of my journey as well. But really it's how do we integrate everything so that who you're being really shines through. Right. So that is exactly, what I do. What I'm passionate about is helping moms really be the person that they know that they are inside and fill those missing gaps.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful. So contact Mel. She would love to have you. And Mel, are you, it's mothers that you're working with, mothers, and is it children as well, or majority mothers that you're working with?
Yeah, so I do work with children. I mean, if I work with men once in a while too. It's very rare that men get a hold of me, but sometimes they do. So, but yeah, the group program that I have, Heal Like a Mother, the wait list for that one is open. And then I have a very gut specific course that I'm doing with Dr. Hasada, who's in Washington as well. And so we have a gut health course coming out for health coaches and practitioners, but then also for lay people who are really trying to just hone in on what's going on with their gut. So if you're interested in that specifically, that will be a course that will be available as well soon.
Lovely. Yeah, tell us about your upcoming event with Dr. Hasada. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. When is that going on? And you said for practitioners, that's what it's for?
Yeah, so we'll have one for practitioners, and then we'll have one for lay people. So those that are really trying to get into like the space of, healing themselves and understanding what's going on with their own gut, because it's such a big piece of the puzzle that conventional doctors are just simply not trained in. And there's no way around it. I don't care what you're dealing with. It could be mental health. It could be skin issues. It could be, I don't know, having a hard time getting pregnant. It could be anything. Your gut is going to play a role.
Yes. I want you to talk a little bit about that too, how the brain-gut connection. In a couple episodes, I would share a little bit about, I would say like, did you know? And so I've been talking a little bit about how there's a brain-gut connection. So I would love for you to speak a little bit on that too and share that with our audience.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So this one is just the most fascinating thing. And if you haven't dug into it, as Roshawn continues all of her little tidbits that she give you, like eat it up, soak it up, because information that you're going to learn from your conventional doctor or your therapist, unfortunately, hopefully that changes soon and we can get, more people on board in the conventional sense. But as far as say we're talking about mental health, when somebody's having a really hard time with, say, depression, a lot of our serotonin we know now is actually made within the gut more than it is the brain, by 90% in the gut. It's about the average estimate with a lot of the studies that you read. And when you have a lot of gut inflammation going on, say a lot of pathogens in the gut that are kind of wreaking havoc, not only are you creating inflammation that then is going up through your vagus nerve, which is what's going to connect that gut and that brain, but you're also going to take any tryptophan that you're eating. So tryptophan is an amino acid that you might be getting from your animal proteins in order to make serotonin, in order to feel those happy chemicals, so that you're feeling like there's joy in life. So if you're not breaking that down and absorbing it, one, there's an issue there. You might not be sleeping also, because that serotonin is then made into melatonin, which is also made in the gut. And then your body could be choosing to use that tryptophan when you have a pathogen, let's say parasites. Nobody likes to talk about parasites, but you're probably going to hear a lot about it.
Right.
So compared to you can start to really use up that tryptophan. So then you're just simply not getting the raw materials your body needs to make serotonin so that you feel happy, so that you feel calm, that you feel joy. And here we are self-medicating with alcohol, or maybe you're on an actual medication for depression when you're just simply missing the raw materials, or you're not able to convert it because there's something going on within the gut, whether that is inflammation, a digestion issue, a parasite issue. All of these things are possibilities.
Yes,
so that
love it. Love that information. And it's not common information, right? So I'm glad that you're able to talk about it and speak about it, how the gut brain connection, because it's not, when I talk about that, people are like, there's a connection? Really? It's like, absolutely, there's a connection. And so I'm so glad that you're able to help so many people, mothers and children and men, and just help them with their healing and going through that healing process. So awesome, Mel. I appreciate you and just all the work that you're doing. So
yes. Thank you.
Yes. So Mel, so any shout outs that you want to give to anyone, any shout outs, and you told us about the course that's coming up with Dr. Hasada. Do you have any other events coming up for you? So any shout outs and anything that is coming up next for you?
Yeah, if you are in the area, in the spring is usually when I will do a in-person kind of, like you would get like a webinar, but in person. So that would be being held in Buckley as well. So if you're interested in doing that, it's going to be all about women and hormones. So if you are really into learning about your hormones, that will be an event that you might want to join. But yes, otherwise, keep a lookout for when that gut health course drops. We're supposed to start filming next week. So it'll be probably... It'll be in spring when it's totally ready. So if you're really interested in the first class will be completely free. So if you're interested in that, you can go on my Instagram page or Facebook, whatever you use, and make our following so that when that does drop, when that class is ready, you're there ready to take it.
Awesome, Mel. And you're also available, Mel, for speaking engagements as well. Is that also available to the public as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Awesome. She can come and speak to you, speak to your audience, speak to the mothers about functional medicine and healing and gut and hormones, it sounds like. So yes. Well, Mel, I am so glad that you were able to come on today and share your story. Any last words of encouragement to our audience that you would like to share?
Yes, I think that especially as we talk about mental health, and of course this doesn't just apply to mothers or women, but it is so important to learn how to advocate for yourself when you do go to the doctor and you're like, I just don't feel like myself, but maybe you're not getting, like, your blood tests are showing that something is wrong, or maybe you're just getting more medications and we're really not getting to the bottom of things. Yeah, we're really learning how to advocate for yourself, and we can do this gently. I know that a lot of women kind of feel shy about it or something, but we don't, we can do it in a gentle manner, I suppose, but still stand up for ourselves. I think that it's really important to not get that, I guess, white coat effect where you feel like, oh, they're a doctor, they know more than me. Advocating for yourself, and if you're not getting it from your doctor, it's just because they're simply trained in a different way, and that's okay. There are other people and practitioners these days, and thank goodness for social media, because we do things virtually now, so you can get the help that you do need. So Absolutely. I say that all the time. Advocate for your health, ask questions, write a list of questions down. And I also tell people, I'm like, you kind of hired your doctor. I mean, you're paying your doctor, right? So you have to advocate for yourself, ask those questions, go in with questions, say, well, what medication and why, and let them explain everything in detail, and have someone with you. So then, they can also take notes and hear as well. So I always tell people advocate for sure. So yes. All right, my friend Mel.
So before we say goodbye, we're going to play this quick little game that I play with all of my guests. And this game is called Would You Rather? And I give two choices. And you're going to choose one and tell us why you picked that as your choice. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, would you rather? Okay. Are you a night owl or an early bird? And why?
What if I'm neither? I would say I'm definitely not an early bird. I'm definitely not an early. If I had to say, I would say night owl, but I force myself to go to bed by 10, 100%.
Okay.
But otherwise, I would say night owl.
Okay. So you're a night owl and then you force yourself to go to bed at 10. Okay. Yeah, I'm a night owl too. So, but I'm working on that time, Mel. So don't get me.
I'll check on you.
Okay. Right. Yeah, okay. All right. So let's see. Would you prefer concerts or musicals?
Well, I'm not going to mention our age.
Right.
Probably. Oh man. I would say concerts, but depending on the person and the amount of crazy.
Okay. So concert. Okay. Do you take your children to musicals or concerts? Do you take them?
I have not. I'm.
Oh yeah. Okay. No worries. No, okay. We're not judging. No, I just want to ask. Okay, two more. All right, Mel. So, would you prefer a staycation or a vacation, like going somewhere?
Vacation, 100%. I've been staycationing with most of my life. I'm a vacation girl. My husband has gotten over the fear of flying just in the past 2 years. So vacation.
Wow. Okay. Okay, vacation. You're like, okay, let's go. Love it. All right. Probably somewhere hot, right? Because here in Washington, we get a lot of the gray and the rain, and yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bring me this white sand and beach for sure.
Oh yes, Hawaii, where you live. So yes.
Yeah.
All right, last one. So this one might be a little easy. You kind of talked a little bit about it, but which season do you prefer? Summer, winter, spring, or fall?
I am a sunshine girl, so spring is my favorite. Into summer. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Getting that vitamin D from the sun, right?
Yes.
All right. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mel, for coming on today, for sharing your story and your weeping story to your warrior story, and how you went through that healing journey, right? And how you're helping so many people. And so thank you for what you're doing. And we're going to stay tuned with all of your events coming up. So I'll be, looking at your social media, staying in tune and checking out what's next for you. But thank you so much for coming on the show today, sharing your story and giving us some knowledge on today. So
yes, thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. And we'll see you next time. We'll probably have you on again. So thank you.
Wonderful. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye. Well, all right, friends, you heard from my friend, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, Mel. If you are interested, please reach out to her on her social media, also on her website. I'm so grateful for her to come and share her story and give us some knowledge and some tidbits. I hope you found this encouraging and inspiring on today. Well, I just want to thank you for joining us, whether if you are listening in or if you are watching on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And I also want to take the time to thank the producer of the show, and that is Dr. Teresa Jordan. Thank you for listening or for watching. Thank you to my guest, and we will see you next time. Stay tuned, because I will have a episode where I talk and share about my testimony and how I went from weeping to warrior. I would love to share that, and how functional medicine has truly helped me in my mental health, helped my physical health as well. So stay tuned, and I want to send some love and some encouragement for you to stay lit, keep shining, and ignite freedom. And I will see you next time, friends. Goodbye.
I'm the one to blame. Will I be okay and make it to the end? On the stage, I'm alive.
Thank you for tuning in to From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole. To be a guest on the show, please contact us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. We would love to connect with you, so please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms. We look forward to having you join us next time for Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole.